Hello, happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing well. Uh, it was snowing here today, so it's a little chilly in my room. It all melted, so that's actually good. I'm not really crazy about snow. So tonight we are going to play with the country bouquet. It's a stamp set that's in the new annual catalog. And we are going to be creating these 3 cards. Hey, Do. So here's one, and then the inside. And they're all simple cards. Here's 2, and the inside. I just thought we'd get away from creating Christmas cards. And then it's a little box. And I'm not going to take the ribbon off, but it is a box with an angled side, and it's really pretty quick and easy to create also. So let's start with this card here. The other card I'm gonna have to run through the cut and emboss machine. All right, so tonight, believe it or not, we're using Coastal Cabana. Oh, you were putting ornaments on your tree. Awesome. Hello, hello. So we're using Coastal Cabana and Granny Apple Green. Okay, I'm just gonna move this down a little bit. And we are going to start out with a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So that is our basic card base, okay? And then you may remember the Dandy Designs designer series paper. It was, I believe it was a host pack, and it is 48 sheets of designer series paper. And that's actually what I use tonight because I have so much of it left. So that'll be one of the designer series paper that we're using. All right. So we are going to layer this card up with, and I have to grab my ruler, a layer of basic white that is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and then another layer that's 5 by 3 3/4. And I ran it through the cut and emboss machine with the time worn type embossing folder. All right, now you have to try to remember just to look at the words that are on the embossing folder. So when you emboss your sheet, you put your paper in the right way. I wouldn't want to put it in so it was embossed this way because we're doing a landscape card. And you'll notice on this embossing folder that there's also random words. There's harvest and never. So there's a few words on here. So we want to make sure that we put this on and it is right side up. Now with that designer series paper, it is 5, just checking, by 1.5 inches. And we are just going to adhere this to the front of the card. With some glue. So we're going to put it down towards the bottom. And this is going to go onto the embossed layer. All right, just like that. Make sure. Hello. And then we're going to take this layer and we are going to adhere it to the front of the card. So you were putting ornaments on your tree, Emma. I got mine done too. The only thing I have to do now, I want to put lights up around the porch. So it's been so cold though. Now I understand why people do them early before it gets too cold outside. It's just been terrible. And especially with my cold, I was feeling better, and then I've been out in this weather, in the hothouse, because Shiva goes out, it seems like every hour, and I have to walk her. And so I'm out in all the elements, so I just can't shake it. All right, so we are gonna pop up a layer of Granny Apple Green, and this is 2.5 by 4.5. And then I have a piece of basic white that is 2 3/8 by 4 3/8, and we're gonna hold it landscape. Hey, Karen. And we are going to stamp this up. And we're going to use Granny Apple Green and Coastal Cabana. Now, I'm going to start with the Coastal Cabana, and we're going to stamp the flowers first. And I'm just going to angle it right about there on this layer, making sure it has a nice good stamp. And then while I'm at it, I'm just going to grab this little sprig, and I should have another one here. Maybe it's in the box. Yep. I'm just going to get that out and ready. So I'm just going to stamp one here and then one on this side over here, just to fill in, of course, some of that white space, right? And then we have these little hearts, outlines of the hearts, that we're just going to stamp, just to fill in some of that white space. Thank you. Hey, Kathy. It's from Casey. It's the Snow Wonder. I thought they'd be perfect since it was snowing at our house today. So I figured I'd do my nails with some snow. I'm not crazy about snow, but it's pretty the first time it falls. All right, so with this stamp now, and I got to figure it out, you have to line it up within these flowers, and everything has to line up, and it creates the heart shape. So let's get that stamped so you can see that once you stamp it, mine break too. Hey, Nan. So when you stamp out the flowers and the leaves, it's in the shape of a heart. And then we're going to take this other little sprig, and we're just going to add some greenery to the background. Okay. Let's close these up. And then we have our layer. So we're going to layer this on, and I'm going to use just a little bit of glue. So I don't want to see it through the layer. And add it to our Granny Apple Green. All right, so there's our layer. Now let's grab some dimensionals. And we're going to pop this up right onto the front of the card. All right, let's pull this down. Hi, Kathy. She's doing much better. Thank you. She, is home. I should have moved this down a little bit, but that's okay. She's home and out of the hospital. She had her first appointment with her doctors, and they scheduled. Now I'm just gonna make a ribbon while I'm talking. She has her schedule for getting the staples out, and she got all her needed vaccinations since she doesn't have her spleen anymore. And the only thing that she really has to start working on is eating. She hasn't really been eating, but they were saying that where her spleen was so enlarged, and she's such a tiny little girl, when they went in to remove her spleen, they really had a rough time trying to get it out. So she's going to have a little rough time, getting back to eating. All right, so we're going to take a scrap of, thank you for asking, take a scrap of Granny Apple Green, and I am going to use some Versamark, and we're going to stamp, I love that we are friends. December is like the month of love. Everybody seems so happy and in a good mood usually. So I figured we'd make some cards to tell people that we care about them instead of Christmas cards. All right, so I'm embossing it with white embossing powder, and I'm just going to... No, I was talking about my granddaughter. All right, that looks good. All right, so we use some Versamark, and I am just going to cut it out with the scalloped. I'm going to do it this way so I get it in here straight. Oval. I love this punch, actually. I think it's my favorite. Yeah, all right, so we're just going to put this on the front of our card. Make sure it is straight. And grab our bow, and I'm sure that my glue dots are hard as a rock because it's pretty chilly in here tonight. Everybody in my house is sleeping. Bill's sleeping. He's not feeling good. Sheba went to bed. All right, so we're just going to grab some of these iridescent rhinestones, and we're just going to add them to the front of our card. Just quick and easy. Just put a little bling on the front of that. 60s and sunny. Oh my word. It's 35 here now, but yeah, I love that punch too. It's my favorite. Um, it started snowing again this morning. It snowed yesterday morning, and then this morning it was snowing again. And I have to say, we had a good amount coat the ground, and there's still some out there, and it is just so cold. All right, I'm going to pull in some Coastal Cabana again. And in this set are these two attached hearts, and they're attached to fit the punch that goes with, okay? But all I'm going to do is ink up this smaller, looks like there's a little piece of something there. I'm going to ink up the smaller heart. So I'm just going to hit it on the edge, and we're going to stamp one there. And then I'm going to stamp one here. All right, just to hit the bottom. And then I'm going to grab our flowers again, and you'll notice that here's the two tops of the heart. So I just want the top of this stamp, and we're just going to stamp it right about there. It looks crazy now, right? Just wild and crazy. So we're going to grab that Granny Apple Green, and we're going to get ink on the top of the stamp again, and then we're going to come in here, line our flowers up inside these openings. I gotta make sure that I'm doing it right. And then stamp. All right, so then now we have the top of that heart. You had 4 inches last week. We didn't get 4 inches. It was just a little, probably about an inch. And it is so pretty when it first falls. I just don't care for the snow. So, Kathy, I will send it all your way. It's not that, it's just that I don't like having to go outside and shovel. I did order a snowblower this year, and it hasn't been delivered yet. I'm hoping we don't get, with these little snow, each morning getting a little bit of snow, I'm hoping we don't get a lot of snow before it comes. All right, so we're just going to get this on the inside of our card. And then we have card number 1. Now you'll notice that my flowers are much darker than here. I made this card yesterday, and then I re-inked my stamp pads, and that's why it looks so, the color is so vibrant now. Thanks, Kathy. All right, so let's grab our second card. And I need a piece of scrap paper. And again, we are going to be working with our Coastal Cabana, and it's 11 by 4 1/4, and this time it's scored at 5 1/2. Now you don't have to worry about the measurements. I will have a PDF for you tomorrow. I'm not sure what time it's going to get done, but it'll be there in the morning. All right, then we're going to layer the front of the card with a piece of Granny Apple Green that measures 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And this one I ran through the cut and emboss machine. Yes, we did have lots of snow. I remember, I guess it was about 1978. was the biggest snowstorm we had on Long Island, and it was, I would have to say we had 5 or 6 feet of snow, and my father and brother worked together, and they hated staying home from work, and we lived on a circle, and the main road, the one that they would plow, was probably, oh gosh, there was probably about a 3/4 of an acre house on the corner, and then us. And my brother and I tried to shovel out our driveway and up the street to get to the main road so they could go to work. I mean, it was crazy, but yes. Hey, Fran. Thanks, Karen. We always had lots and lots of snow. Even growing up on in Oyster Bay, we always had a lot of snow. All right, so I embossed this with the Quatrefoil embossing folder. Next, I have a piece of basic white, and it's 4 3/8 by 3 1/8. And then I have a piece that's 4 1/4 by 3. And this piece, I'm going to grab my, what I do with it, here we go, scrap paper again. I'm just going to fold it over. And we're going to take these pretty little flowers and our coastal cabana. Just going to move that out of the way so I don't get ink on it. And we're just going to stamp off and fill in some of this background. All right, I'm just going to hit it one more time, and then I'm going to grab these leaves, and I'm just going to pick them up. And my granny apple green, and I'm just going to ink that up, and we're going to stick our leaves in just about there. Okay, and now that they're there, I'm just going to stick a few more on the background. And let me get this scrap piece up so you can see that layer without all these flowers. Right? So that's all I did. I just oh no. It's pretty, right? Thank you, Casey, for sharing Color Street with me. Hey, Debbie. That's fine. All right, so I stamped. Now, give me a second. I want to run this through with the time-worn type. Now, like I said before, when you run it through, I got ink or something on here, you want to make sure that this is the front of the embossing folder where the Stampin' Up! Logo is. So you want to put your paper in so it's to the front of the folder. And it's going to be portrait, so that's the way we want it. And then we're just going to run it through. Just quick and easy. Alright, so it just gives that background a little bit of texture. I'm just going to take off my sweatshirt here. It started to get really warm in here. which I'm glad. All right, so now we're just going to adhere this to this basic white layer. And I don't have to, oh, shoots and ladders. Did I do the wrong one? Let me just see. Nope, it just stretched it out a little bit. Let me just trim this off. I forgot all about that. All right, that should be good. You have to remember that sometimes when you emboss these layers, it stretches. You know what? Give me a second. I might have done the wrong, no, I didn't. 3 1/8. Let me just cut a different piece. 3 1/8. 4 3/8. Let's see if it'll fit on this one. Sorry about that. All right, so there we go. So we made a little bit of a, I am working with, oops, wrong side, the Country Bouquet. This stamp also almost looks like that Bottled Happiness. And I don't think I have it right here. I don't. The Bottled Happiness stamp set is almost like that. Let's see. I don't have it right here. All right, so let's grab, that's probably what I did. I grabbed the wrong piece of paper before. We're going to grab some Coastal Cabana, and we're going to grab that heart stamp, all right? And we're just going to ink it up and stamp, okay? And then I want an additional little heart. So I'm just going to ink up that little heart and then stamp. We can grab our punch that goes with this set, and we're going to line it up and it cut out the leaves that we don't need. And I'm just going to cut this little heart here, and we're going to just line up this heart. All right, so now we have our 3 hearts. And you'll notice again, they're much darker because I did re-ink. You're welcome, honey. I did re-ink my stamp pads, and that's the reason why it looks so dark. All right, so let's find out what I did with. Everything disappears right before my eyes. I just had my dimensionals. What the heck did I do with them? How crazy. The desk, oh, here they are. The desk is like only this big, and things like disappear. All right, so we're going to take this heart, and we're going to pop this up onto the front of the card. And we are going to pop it up so it's like right between these little leaves. Okay, we're going to take one of these hearts and we are going to adhere it to the front of the card. And then we're going to take the second little heart, and I'm actually going to use the smaller dimensionals. See if I'm still on the camera here, because it's a little easier. And we're going to stick this one right about there. Okay, I see a piece of my hair. All right, so there is the front. Let me grab a piece of ribbon here, and I'm going to create our bow. I just can't believe it's Thursday already. I'd like to know where this week went. Now, yesterday, I wasn't sure what day of the week it was. Oh, it's been horrible. Poor Bill, he's not feeling good. He got sick when we went to Long Island. I guess just being in the hospital, waiting room, in the room, and he is just so susceptible. It seems like he catches everything. And I was fine. And then he got sick. And then I got sick. All right. There it is. Okay, so I did die cut this. Let me just see what it's called. The designer tag dies. And I think they are retired. But I kept them because I think they're just so pretty. And we are just going to stamp it with I love you. And I'm just looking to see what I did with my stamp. Here it is. All right. I just heard something fall. Here it is. And my Coastal Cabana. So we're just going to, I think it's time to clean my blocks again. We're just going to ink it up and stamp I love you. And we're just going to add a little bit of glue. And we're going to tuck it under that heart. And then grab a glue dot. Oops. It went flying, so now I have a glue dot sticking somewhere. And we're just going to add it right here. All right. So we're going to let that dry. Now, in the meantime, this piece we're going to pop up onto the front of the card. Let me just first add my dimensionals. And I'm just going to put them on so I have some space down the middle. So I grabbed that designer series paper that I used on the first card. And this is 3/4 by 3. And we're just going to add a bit of glue to one side. And we're going to tuck it under just so it's about halfway. All right, so we're just tucking it under to give it little rings. You know, Kathy, it's true. You get stuck That's even like for Christmas. You think of red and green, navy blue, silver, gold. And sometimes, just to think of things a little different, you step out of that box, right? Who would have ever thought? But I think just the idea that this stamp set is called the Country Bouquet, we could actually use any color. All right, so I just gave it a few little wings. Now we're going to take off these papers, pull our card back in, and we're going to center this on this green. And of course, here they are. Just going to grab my gems here, and let's put a few sparklies on the front of our card. And then we have card number 2. All right. Now for the inside, we have some Granny Apple Green. That is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and then 5 1/4 by 4. Now hopefully my hands work tonight. I couldn't get them to work that well this morning because I had just the insides. So I'm just going to add a bit of glue and a 1/4-inch strip of Coastal Cabana to the top. I'm just going to get it so it's nice and flat against that edge. That should be straight. Okay. Then I'm going to add another bead of glue with our Designer Series paper. And I'm just going to line that up. Make sure it's flat against the edge. And then just turn it around and give it a trim. Okay. Then let's, I'm going to have to change this. As much as it does work fairly well, this is the old refill when we had our, wasn't called Snail, when it was called Snail. And it just stopped working. And I've been using it, and it's been working pretty good. But I think it just gave up on me. Yep, it did. All right. So we'll have to use some glue. I'll just use a little bit. All right, so we're just going to layer this up. And like I said, hopefully my fingers will work. You know, I don't like to tie a bow and wrap at the same time. I usually cheat. So we're taking this twine, and this is twine from the 3 twine combo pack. And again, I think it's also retired. So we're just going to tie a bow. Now I would tie a knot in this first to make it a little easier to tie my bow. But the twine is so thick that it would be a really big bulge on the inside of the card. So we're just going to tie the ribbon into a bow. And if you straighten out your loops and then pull on the tails, it will straighten everything out. And leave you with a nice little bow. All right. So now we can pull our card in. And I'm going to put some glue on either side of that twine and glue this to the inside. Just going to hold it for a second. Thank you so much. All right. So there is card number 2. Now let's head over and take care of the box. And I'm just, oh, here it is. So this will fit a Rice Krispies treat or a Kit Kat bar. Thanks, Kathy. Let me just get a drink and we'll work on our little gift box. 'Tis the season for needing little boxes, right? So we're going to do the bottom of the box. And the bottom of the box measures 4.5 by 5.5. And each side is scored at 1. So let's just fold and burnish. Just like this. And then we're going to cut our tabs. And we are going to we want to cut that score bump out. And then we want to angle our tabs. All right. And this one too. You want to cut out that little score bump. And then angle. Whoops. Just snip that out. There we go. Then turn it around and do the same thing for the tabs on the other side. All right, so here's our little box bottom. So we're going to add some glue. You can use tear and tape, but we're going to use some glue tonight. All right, and we're going to tuck in, and you want to line up the edge with your corner. And we're going to have to hold it there for a minute or so. And then line it up so you have a nice flush corner. All right. So that's 2. And you want to make sure you get that glue right down to the score line. And get a nice square corner. And then we can do this last one. And we're going to tuck that in. All right. So there is, hey Sheila, thank you, honey. There's the bottom of our box. Now we're going to make the top of the box. And this one measures, believe it or not, 4.5. And you want it about a 1/16 of an inch larger than 5.5. So it would be 5 2, 4, 6, 8, 9/16. And again, we're going to fold and burnish all our sides. We're going to create our tabs. No, we're not. We are going to, yes, we need to create our tabs. I just went blank. We have to create our tabs. So we're going to do it on one side. The brain just went bloop. Okay. Just like that. So we have our end, and these are our tabs, because that'll be one end of our box. Then we're going to flip it to the other side, and we are actually going to cut out these corners. So we're just going to angle that a little bit and cut out those corners. Next, we're going to pull in our trimmer. Okay. And we want to cut. Here's the tab that we just cut the corners out. We want to cut from this score line, or where this score line is, okay, at the corner, all the way down to the outside. So I'm just going to, we don't want to cut this, so we're going to line up our edges into the track, and we're going to cut it at an angle. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to cut from the outside to the inside right there. So we want to cut this at an angle, just like that. And this is the piece we are left with. Okay, so now we can add our glue. And add our glue. And again, you want to make sure that it's lined up on the corner. And the same on this side. Just want to make sure they're stuck. And then we're going to take this piece here, this flap, and we're going to add some glue. Pull in the bottom of our box. And this is going to get adhered to the inside of the box. Right? So I'm just going to pull this open. I want to make sure that this is adhered to the inside. Okay, so we just adhered it right to the inside of the box. So now when it closes, you have an angled top. All right, so that's our little box. Now we're going to top it off with a Coastal Cabana. And this is 3 1/8 by 2 1/8. And then we have a piece of basic white again. And I'll take a new sheet of paper. Let's grab our Coastal Cabana and our flowers, and we're going to ink it up. Okay, so there's our flowers. And then we're going to grab our leaves and our granny apple green and ink it up. Whoops, I just hit the camera. And we want to line these up again. And that looks good. Whoops. And with the granny apple green still out, I have little hearts. Okay, and I'm going to just add a few to the background. Let's get rid of this and our pieces. Just add a little bit of glue. And we're going to layer this together. And then we're just going to layer this right onto the top of the box. You could pop it up if you want. It makes it much easier adding our bow. All right. When it is laying flat, let's grab some little gems. Just like that. And then grab our ribbon. You know how much I don't like wrapping and tying bows. And check it out, I'm doing it twice tonight. I just don't, I feel like I'm all thumbs. I can tie my shoes. It's just when it comes to these ribbons and boxes, I feel like I'm all thumbs. All right, not too bad. So now we just want to manipulate these. I'm going to turn this bow. Wrong scissors. All right, so there we go. There's our box. Here is our card. And then here is our second card. All right. So if you would like these make and takes, yeah, I hear you. My hands are, especially when it's cold, I have a lot of trouble. So if you'd like tonight's make and takes, just use the host code on the screen. Thanks, Debbie. And I will have a PDF for you tomorrow morning. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow at 10. I am not sure what I'm doing yet. I haven't come up with a design for Fun Fold Friday. So have a nice rest of your night. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks, Kathy.